Well, hello and welcome to this week's Real Love Revolution video. That I'm going to start with a question. Have you ever had an experience where something happens, you have an incident, and the person it was with goes to another friend to complain about you? Have you ever had an experience where your boss comes to you and says, well, Bob said that in the meeting you did such and such. And you're like, why didn't Bob come to me? If you say yes to any of those experiences, or maybe you're the person who is doing this indirect communicating, what you are doing is called triangulating. My name is Terri Cole. I am a licensed psychotherapist, a relationship expert, and the founder of Boundary Bootcamp and Real Love Revolution. And for those of you who don't know, ladies, Real Love Revolution season is on. So if you have not joined my free Facebook group, if you have not joined my Real Love Revolution waiting list, we call it, where you get all kinds of free gifts. We get different quizzes, and you can join whether you're in a relationship or whether you are single. Please do. All you need to do is go to terricole.com/RLR and sign up so you don't miss, because I'm doing a bunch of live streams answering all of your questions about love, so I don't want you to miss it. Anyway, in this video, we're going to be talking about triangulation, right? Basically, the unhealthy back channel, pretty toxic communication that happens in many relationships. So why is it called triangulation? Let's start with that. Well, it makes sense because it looks like a triangle. You have an incident with Betty, and then Betty goes to your other friend over here. So that means that a third party or an outside party gets involved. This happens a lot in family systems. If you have a fight with your sister and your sister goes and talks to your mother about it, that is triangulation. If you have a fight with your mother and your mother won't talk to you about it but makes your sister talk to you about it, that is triangulation. So let's talk about the impact of triangulation, what it really is, and why you don't want to participate in it, shall we? Yes. Triangulation is a passive-aggressive, unhealthy way of communicating. Why is it unhealthy? Because it's indirect, and because it involves another person who is not involved. Now, we have choices. Now, I want you guys to think right now about your life. Do you do this? And listen, if you do, don't be ashamed, don't be embarrassed. We all do it a little. But if you do it a lot, it's really not cool. That's it. It's really unhealthy. And here's the thing. It's not just like it's uncool and bad to do to other people. It's unhealthy for you as well. But it's really unhealthy for your relationships. And that's the thing that kind of matters the most. That it's toxic. And it's not a good problem-solving method, right? If you're looking to communicate to solve problems, the truth is, it really doesn't solve problems. It really doesn't. So I want you to think about in your own life, in your family system, the family you grew up in, so it could be your siblings, or your own family system. If you're grown and you have children of your own, is there triangulation within those systems as well? Really think about it. When you have a problem with someone, is your first instinct to talk shit about them to someone else? Think about it. And listen, you guys, I'm not saying that you can never have an experience. If you have a painful experience with someone and you want to talk to a close friend or a mentor about your experience, your response to it, what happened, because that's a part of your healing too. That's different than having an issue with Betty and going to Bob to shit talk Betty about the issue. That's what I'm talking about. That's triangulation, because it involves this other person. And a lot of times we tell another person because we want it to get back to Betty. We just don't have the courage to say it directly to Betty's face. You know what I'm saying? I know you do. So let's talk about your choices. What are the choices that you have when you are presented with this situation? So assume that you're on the receiving end of the situation and someone comes to you, Betty comes to you to talk shit about Bob, let's just say. Now, you can either join, right? It's called joining. You can join with them and let her talk about it and say, yep, you know what? Bob is an idiot. I never liked him. He's a big jerk. Okay. So that's one choice, right? It's called joining. Of course, that's not the choice I want you to pick. The second thing that you can do is get direct. So someone comes to you and says, hey, Betty told me, Betty was upset about the way you acted. If you get direct, you have to say to the messenger, because that's really what the third person is. If they're coming to you, they're the messenger. And you have to say, hey, I really appreciate you coming to me, but I'm going to go talk to Betty directly. Now, the person may be like, no, don't. She told me not to say anything. All of that crap that goes along with this kind of passive-aggressive bullshit behavior. And you can say, okay. Or you can let them tell you this time and say, but can I make a simple request that going forward, if Betty comes to you with a complaint about me, would you please ask her to come directly to me? Would you decline to be the middleman? Because it's healthier that way, and that's my simple request. Some people, it's hard for them to be that honest. I like the direct approach myself. And if someone comes to me and says this person has a beef with you, I say to the messenger, hey, I'm going to talk to the other person directly. And if they don't like it, they don't like it. Part of me is like, well, I don't care, because who asked you to be the messenger? I didn't, And it's unhealthy. The way that I bow out myself when someone is trying to triangulate me, that's what it's called. They're trying to suck me into this unhealthy thing. If Betty came to me and said, Bob's a big jerk, and especially if they do it all the time, because there's a tendency for people who are passive aggressive to use this all the time. I would say, hey, Betty, do me a favor. It doesn't really help you to bitch to me about Bob. I'm really going to ask you to go to him directly about your complaint. Is that popular? Probably not. Do I care? I really don't. And I can say it nicely, like, hey, I understand your frustration, but I really would love to make a simple request that you go directly to Bob, because this gets you out of it. All this indirect communication isn't healthy, does not help you solve the problem. And listen, if you're so afraid to draw boundaries, if you're so afraid to speak honestly, then hello, you need my boundary boot camp, which isn't going to be around for another couple of months, but you got to learn that. Listen, this is life. We don't have forever. And these are like games and distractions that get in the way of what it is that we're doing. And the third choice that you have when you're in this situation, especially if it's someone who, let's say they're a subordinate to you at work, someone who works for you, is you can guide them, right? You can guide and give them some information, which is to basically say, hey, Bob, I would really appreciate you going directly to Betty about this, because I think that you guys getting a problem-solving dialogue going would be really helpful. If it's something where you need me to step in, I will. But right now, you're basically just complaining about something that you could go directly to Bob about, and it will really build your work relationship with Bob. Sometimes you have to have the hard conversation, but it's worth having, and you're worth having. So you guys, anyway, so that's my 2 cents on what I might say. Don't worry, you don't have to take notes. You know that I have a cheat sheet for you. All you need to do is download it, and all this information and the different choices that I think that you have will be on there. So what is the reason? Let's just get to how I'm going to wrap this up for you. Is what is the reason that I don't want you guys using passive-aggressive behavior at work or at home, in your family of origin, in your chosen family, with your friends? Why not? What do you think? Because it doesn't work. Because it's unhealthy. And because it keeps you stuck in a circular way of behavior that does not give you the satisfaction that you want. Because don't you want to build deep intimacy? Don't you? Even in your work relationships, don't you want to build trust? Listen, work relationships, I wouldn't say I want to build deep intimacy, but I do want to build trust. I want to be able to trust what someone says, and that if they have a beef with me, they'll say it to my face. And if you don't say it to my face, you know what? I don't trust you. Do you know why? Because you're not trustworthy. For you to go and talk behind my back makes you a not trustworthy person in my estimation and in real life. So don't you want to be like a communication baller? Like someone that people look at like, wow, like she's no joke. She's for real. When he says something, he means it, right? You can take that to the bank. When that person says that, you can trust what they say because they keep their word and they're not full of shit, which is what it is if you're constantly triangulating. So I'm not judging you. Trust me, I was a massive triangulator in my past, right? When I was younger, I didn't have so many years of therapy. But that's why I'm sharing this with you. Because all of the videos that I'm doing now, because we are in 2018 Real Love Revolution season, my lovelies, and I am super excited. All of these videos are going to be about raising your love vibration in the world, in your life, attracting healthier love. And if you're in a relationship, it's going to be about raising the vibration in that relationship, better communication, more intimacy, more authentic communication. So that's what all of these videos are about between now and April 2nd, 2018. So let's dive into it and let's get moving. Let's raise our love vibration, shall we? It's very exciting. So I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. If you liked this video, if it added value for you, please share it on all of your social media channels. Send it to friends or family members who you think it might help, because you guys know what is my heart's desire is to help as many people as possible live the happiest lives that they can, right? You guys know that because you're here. So please share it. That's all I'm saying. And if you have not joined my Real Love Revolution waiting list, please do join the challenge. I've got a 5-day Raise Your Love Vibe challenge coming up. Join that too. All you need to do is go to terricole.com/RLR, and I will see you in the Facebook group. I'm sorry, guys. This challenge and my Facebook group and all this stuff is only for women, but of course you can watch the videos, and you know on YouTube I answer all of your questions, male or female. Right now this thing I'm doing is only for women, but don't think I don't love you, because I really do. And as always, all of you, please take care of you.